everybody, my name is Mars. You can call me MG if you'd like, and today I have for you my Spookopoly vlog. If you don't know what Spookopoly or Spookopolathon is, it is run by Becca over at Becca in the Books, and it started out as Bookopoly, which was a TBR game she played, and then she stopped playing it and instead made it into a readathon for everyone else to play. But the last year and this year it has been Spookopoly, so it's like a spooky version of Spookopoly, and I knew I wanted to participate in this, but I have had such a busy month. The day that I'm filming this is not in fact October 1st, which is the official start of Spookopoly or Spookopolathon. I'm filming this intro on October 19th because, like I said, super busy first half of the month, and I was like, okay, I'll do my Spookopoly the last 2 weeks, that way I can still participate just a shorter time period. Then I was like, what if I do it for the last 13 days? Because 13 is a spooky number, so that's why we're here. This is the 13th to last day of the month, and we are officially starting Spookopoly. I've got my reading journal here with my Spookopoly board all drawn out. I didn't do all of the little doodles and illustrations that Becca has on her board, but that's just because I'm not very artistically inclined. I think it's fine. I've got the prompts written out. I've got my dice and my little tiny mushroom that we will be using as a counter to show what spot I'm on. The dice that I have are two mismatched dice. I have this one, which is black with like star speckles on it. This was a gift from my friend Zach, who was DMing a game, and I played a Circle of Stars druid during that game, so he got me space dice. And this one is like an orangey pink with glitter inside, and the numbers are painted red. This was a gift from my older sister because we went to a nerd store, and I was looking at all the dice, and I was like, oh, these ones are so pretty, and she grabbed it in my hand and said, cool, I'm buying these for you. So 2 special sets of dice so that I pulled these from to roll, and I think that's all I've got to like serve as the preamble for this. I'm going to switch to an overhead camera so you can see my board and my rolls and everything, and let's find out what the first book I'll be reading for Spookopoly is. I do have 2 book club books and a TBR game book left to read this month, so fingers crossed I can fit those in sometime during these next 13 days. Okay, friends, as you can see, we are starting down here on Go. I've got my dice. I have to roll with my left hand because I drew the board on the right-hand page, but we're starting with a double. And because I'm rolling as I go, when I roll a double, that means I have to pick 2 books for the prompt I land on. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we have landed on TBR Vet, which means I have to pick 2 books that have been on my TBR for a while. So as you saw, I rolled a double on my first roll. I rolled double 2s and moved 4 spots to land on the TBR Veteran space. So I had picked 2 books that have been on my TBR for a while, and technically I should be picking Inferno by Dan Brown for this because that has been on my TBR since 2017. I bought that book in the spring of 2017 and I still have not read it, but I'm not going to do that to myself because that thing is thick and intimidating and I just don't want to. So I went to my reading journal. In the beginning, I have like a little bookshelf drawn out, and all of the books on the top shelf are my unread books at the start of the year, so books that I purchased prior to 2024, and there's only a few on there. The ones that I have picked from my limited options are Lysistrata by Aristophanes. This is a Dover thrift edition that I got, I don't know when, but prior to 2024. I think it might have even been prior to 2023, if I'm being honest. I could check my reading journal from last year, but that's a whole lot of work. This is a classic play. It's an ancient comedy concerning the efforts of Lysistrata, an Athenian woman, to persuade other women to join together in a strike against the men of Greece. I do think I might have read this in college or high school or something, but I don't remember. And this is the last Dover thrift edition on my TBR shelf So once I read this, I can put it on my regular shelf with all of my other ones, because I collect books in this edition, and I have them in a nice, cute little rainbow, so that'll be exciting. This will be a quick read because it is only 50 pages and it's a play. I might see if there's a performance of it on YouTube to pop up and watch while I read along, because I like to do that with Shakespeare's. So if I can find one, that's what I'll be doing for that. And my second pick for this prompt is A Tale of Time City by Diana Wynne Jones, who is the author of Howl's Moving Castle. I do know exactly when I got this. So September 2023, I went up to New England to visit my sister, and there was a little free library there that I got this out of. So this is a middle grade that deals with a city set outside of space and time, and I don't really know anything beyond that. There's a girl that gets plucked from a British train station at the start of World War II, and there's time travel. I don't know, I picked this up because I really liked Howl's Moving Castle and wanted to read more from Diana Wynne Jones. This probably also won't take me too long. It's 327 pages, but the font is a moderate size, and it's also middle grade, so that'll make it quick. Yeah, that's exciting. I didn't think this was going to be one of the first books. I didn't think either of these were going to be the first books I read for this readathon, but here we are. I will get cracking on these and give you updates as I go. Hello, friends. It has been a few hours since I've spoken to you, and I have in fact read Lysistrata. I found a YouTube audiobook to listen to while reading it, and that certainly helped me stay focused. This was really fun, actually. So we have Lysistrata, who is an Athenian woman, and she goes up to her friend, and they're talking. Basically, they're just like, hey, we are tired of these men being in charge because they kind of just mess everything up, and now we're stuck in this stupid war that no one wants to be in, and all the women are just stuck here at home while these men go off and die for stupid reasons. So she cooks up this plot for all of the women in Athens to deny sex to the menfolk, and that will make them desperate enough to actually start listening to the women and have some changes come about and end the war. And it works. I mean, it's more involved than that, but that's kind of like the gist of it. And it's a very raunchy play. It's a very funny play. And I had a pretty dang good time reading it, so I'm excited that I finally picked this up after having it on my shelf for quite a while. So that is the first book done for the Spookopoly readathon, but I can't roll because I still have to read A Tale of Time City, which I left in the office. As you can see, I'm now lying in bed. So I will get started on that later today and get back to you when I've got something to say about it. Good morning, friends. It is about 11 a.m. on Sunday, and I am just past the 20% mark of A Tale of Time City, and I am DNFing this here. Sad, but I'm kind of not surprised. I love sci-fi. I don't love time travel. It's probably my least favorite, category of sci-fi time travel stories. And I know you're like, well, if you don't like time travel, why'd you pick this up? Because I wanted to give it a shot, and it didn't work out for me. I don't really care about any of the characters, and the world building doesn't make sense to me. And I just am not having a good time. So I read about 60 pages last night and was not vibing with it, but then this morning I'm like, okay, I'll give it a little bit more of a shot, and I read 10 more pages, and I'm like, nah. So I got through 4 chapters. So an attempt was made. This just isn't for me. It's gonna go back into the little free library ecosystem, and hopefully someone else will enjoy this. Perhaps a child, because this is middle grade, and I am a 26-year-old adult, so not at all the target audience, but that's fine. I don't really care. I like middle grade a lot. Anywho, that means that because this was the second book for our doubles that were rolled, I get to roll again and move along the board. So I will swap over to the overhead camera and we'll see what I get. Alrighty, here we are back at the board with our little mushroom on TBR vet where we landed. And I'm gonna roll the dice again, give it a good shake off camera, and I got a 4 and a 2, so not a double. We rolled a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, Bacharach is probably the last spot I wanted to end up with on this board because I just don't really feel like Becca and I have the same or similar reading taste. So a decision has to be made here. I think rather than go through and watch all of her recommendation videos and everything that she always has linked in a playlist and hope that something comes up that I'm actually interested in reading, I'm going to roll again and pick 2 books for the next prompt because I just don't want to deal with a Bacharach. I'm sorry, guys, but that is the rule that I'm going with. I will pick 2 books for the next one to make up for the fact that I'm skipping Bacharach. So, gonna give this another roll. We have a 6 and a 3, so 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we've landed on a bone-colored cover. So like white, off-white, cream, any color that you can think bones might be is the vibe for this. So I'm gonna go find 2 books for this, and I will be back. So as you saw, the spot that I landed on was Bacharach, and I decided to skip that because I genuinely just don't want to do that. So I rolled again and landed on a bone-colored cover, and I will be picking 2 books for this. And this was genuinely probably the best spot I could have landed on because I did say at the beginning of this vlog that there are still several books that I'm hoping to read for various reasons, and all 3 of my like priority reads do have like what I would consider to be enough of a bone-colored cover to fulfill this prompt. They all have like a lot of colors on the cover, but the like background base of them, we can say, are like off-white, yellowy bone colors. So I have 2 book club picks that I still have to read. I have Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, which has had many covers in its years since being published, but the like TV show tie-in cover, or at least one of the TV show tie-in covers, has a like yellowy white background. That is for the Nostalgia Train book club, by the way. Then for the Bujo Buddies book club, the pick is Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal, and this does have a lot of bright colored boxes, but the like border base of it is a like off-white bone color, so I'm counting it. And then the third book that I'm hoping to get to this month is The House of the Spirits by Isabella Allende, which is a book that I picked for my TBR game for this month. So I do have 3 different options, and I'm not sure which ones I want to go with. For The House of the Spirits and Vampire Academy, I have those on ebook, and Feel Good Productivity is an audiobook. So I have to make a decision, and that is one of my least favorite things to do. I think what I'm going to do is go for my 2 book club books because I feel like those are a slightly higher priority than my TBR game books. So for the 2 books I'm picking for bone-colored cover, we're going to go with Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead and Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal. I don't know which I'm going to pick up first. I guess it's just whether I get to a point where I want to pick up an audiobook or I want to pick up an ebook. So I want to get on with my day and pick up one of those at some point and come back to tell you about it. Hello friends, it is almost 3 p.m. on Monday the 21st, and I'm here to say that I'm DNFing Feel Good Productivity. So not off to the best start with this vlog with 2 out of 3 books being DNF'd, but that's fine. That's just how it goes sometimes. I just can't continue on with this. It's a short audiobook. It's only like 5 hours, but I've only listened to the first 3 chapters and I'm getting so annoyed. So Feel Good Productivity is supposed to be like a self-help book to make you like feel better about the work you're doing and therefore more productive. Sounds like a great thing. This guy is like super popular on YouTube and Instagram, but like I just can't with this audiobook. I do appreciate the fact that whenever there's like charts or graphs or images, he describes it because it is an audiobook, so you can't see it. That's about the only positive thing I have to say about this. So I've listened to the first like 3.5 chapters. Chapter 1 was essentially just do things that you enjoy, and you'll do more of it because you want to do it. Yeah, obviously. Chapter 2 was even if you don't feel confident about something, do things that will make you feel more confident about it, and then you'll be better at it. Yeah, obviously, again. And then chapter 3 was essentially be kind and encouraging to other people, and they will be kind and encouraging to you, and then you'll all get more stuff done. Again, I feel like that's so obvious, and like nothing he has said has been anything more than like a surface level like suggestion. It feels like stuff you would tell like a fourth grader. Like, oh, be kind to others. Oh, be confident in yourself. Like, yeah, obviously that'll make you more productive. Do things that you enjoy. Yeah, obviously. And like, it's so repetitive. I'm not gonna listen to the rest. There's like 11 more chapters, and I don't even care to find out what he's gonna talk about because I just am not enjoying this at all. And I thought about sticking it out because listening at 2 times speed, I only have like an hour 45 left. But then I was like, that is an hour and 45 minutes of my life that I could be doing literally anything else, and I would enjoy it more than listening to this audiobook. But I do appreciate it for keeping me company. I did a lot of cleaning around my office because it was getting so messy, so I had that on last night, and then I did some coloring because I like to color to unwind, and I had the audiobook playing while I was doing that. So I appreciate it for keeping me company, but it's time to say goodbye because I really, really did not like this. So I'm hoping Vampire Academy can save me. I have read it before, I did really like it. I'm not going into it with very high expectations because I know what kind of story it is. I'm just looking for a fun time. I'm really hoping that this doesn't end up awful because it has been a while since I've read it, so it could turn out absolutely terrible and not at all like I remember, but we're gonna put our best intentions into this. I'm gonna say that it's gonna be a fantastic time and I'm gonna love this book. I hope. I really hope so, because I don't know why I'm feeling so angry about the fact that this audiobook wasn't for me, but it just like, I'm getting so annoyed about it. So I'm gonna do a little bit. There's a loud van going by. I apologize if you can hear it. I'm gonna do a little bit of a wind down in my reading journal, do like my little spread for it and get out all my frustrations there, and then I'm gonna leave it in the past because I don't want to think about it anymore. I'm not a self-help nonfiction type of person, but I've read so many in the past couple of years, specifically because of the Bujo Buddies book club. I've read probably not a ton compared to like people who actually read nonfiction, but like they're not for me, and I keep reading them just because they're book club books, and I need to acknowledge the fact that it's okay to skip a month if it's not going to be a book that's for me. So next time there's a self-help nonfiction productivity whatever you want to call it book for the book club, I'm just not going to read it because I don't think I've enjoyed any of them. But that is my rant. I just wanted to come here and let you know what the situation was. We're now going to go into Vampire Academy, and fingers crossed, it's enjoyable. So I will see you at some point in the future. Hello friends, I'm here with an update on Vampire Academy. It is about 1 p.m. on Tuesday, and I'm halfway through now. I'm really flying through this book. It's not very long at all, but I have some thoughts. First and foremost, gross age gap. Why? Why do we have to do this? I don't know if the romance actually happens in this book, because I have read all 6 books in this series, but that was a long time ago when I was in high school, and I don't remember when exactly the romance between the main character and her love interest happens. But regardless, when they first meet and there's like hints of her having a crush on him and like him checking her out and stuff, she's 17, a literal child, and he's 24, a whole ass adult. Gross. Age gap. I hate it. I hate it so bad. Also, though, on a much lighter note, why is he 6'7"? Why? I'm tired of these giants. I need a love interest who's a short king. Please. That's all I want. Besides that, though, I'm not loving this, but I'm like enjoying the reading experience because I'm not like thinking critically about the story or anything. I'm just along for a good time. And it's trashy, but not like garbage, you know? I feel like those are two very different adjectives. I don't know if the TV show adaptation was on the CW, but this book reads like a CW TV show, and if you've seen any CW TV shows, then you know what I mean by that. But it's just kind of a silly little YA, and I'm enjoying that. I think it's fun. I do really like the politics that are going on. So you have the Moroi, which are mortal vampires, and they're like born normally. They just have an aversion to sunlight and they drink blood and stuff. So they're like vampire light. Then you also have Dampiers, might be how it's pronounced, and they are half vampire. And you can get a Dampier by a Moroi having a child with either a human or a Dampier. And they act kind of as like they're like guardians, I think is the word they use for the Moroi, because there are also a different kind of vampires called Strigoi, and they are evil vampires who are immortal. And sorry, there's a car going by. One becomes a Strigoi either by being bitten by one, or if a Moroi kills whoever they're feeding from. And the Strigoi want to kill all the Moroi because their blood is the most delicious, and so the Moroi need protection from the Dampiers because they are like frail, kind of, but the Dampiers are stronger and like more athletic, but the Strigoi are like supernaturally so it's like kind of a struggle. And the Dampiers need the Moroi to live because that's how they reproduce. Dampiers cannot have children with each other. So there's like a lot of political tension there that I think is very interesting. I like the dynamic between Rose, our point of view character, and Lisa, who's her best friend. Rose is a Dampier and Lisa is a Moroi, and they ran off 2 years ago after some stuff happened, but they recently were brought back to this academy where all of the Moroi and the Dampier go to school. So there's a lot going on, and I am excited to continue reading because, like I said, there's another car going by. Like I said, I'm not taking this too seriously. I'm not thinking too critically about it. I'm just here for a fun time. So I will get back to reading, and I probably won't update you until I reach the very end, so I will see when that happens. Hello friends, it is Tuesday night. It's been a few hours since I last talked to you. I finished Vampire Academy. I don't know what came over me, but I was just so engrossed in this book. I just kept wanting to read it, so I did have to get other stuff done. So what I did is alternate between writing a little and then reading a little, like for the milestones in my writing project. I got to reward myself with reading a chapter at a time, and that is how I got through it. I don't know what it is about this book. I just kept wanting to keep going. That was a weird sentence. We're gonna move on. And I really want to read the next one now. I'm still not the biggest fan of the romance because it's pretty gross with that age gap. But I'm not gonna let it slide. But I am kind of a little bit in my head. Dimitri's only 20. That is how I am dealing with this. I don't know. I usually age up characters in my head a lot of the time. If I'm reading a YA where it's not like integral to the plot that the characters are teenagers, I tend to think of them as being like 20, 21 years old in my head. Don't ask why I do that, it just happens. But for this, because they're like in school and stuff, and the one character has to be 17 because she's still a student, I'm like, okay, what if Dimitri, instead of being 24, he's just 20? 20 and 17 is still a little bit of a weird age gap, but definitely not as bad, and also it's a fantasy novel, so I can excuse it a little bit more that way. So in my brain, Dimitri is only 20, and no one can tell me otherwise. But yes, I also would like to point out the fact that the cover I am using for this to make it work for the prompt that I had, which was bone colored cover. Yeah, I almost thought I said it backwards there. Bone colored cover. That sounds so weird to say. I said that it was the TV show tie-in cover, I think, but I'm wrong. Apparently, the TV show is very recent and only had one season and that was canceled. Apparently, there was a movie a decade ago in 2014, and the cover I was looking at is the movie tie-in cover. So, just wanted to clear that up. But now that that is done, I get to roll again and pick another book. So, let's get to that. Okay, so here we are with the board. I apologize that my shadow is blocking pretty much all of the light, but that's just how my office is set up. We are here on bone colored cover. This mushroom keeps falling over and it's annoying me, but that's where we're at. So I'm going to take the dice, give them a good shuffle, a good scramble. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm gonna roll it, and we get 6 and 4, 10. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This was, I didn't write the name of the prompt on it, but I believe this was one of the authors. I can't remember who it was. I know this author spot was Bram Stoker, and this one was Grady Hendrix. This was Shirley Jackson, maybe? I really don't remember, but the prompt itself was a book with a building on the cover, which is interesting, and not anything is coming to mind immediately. So I will double check with the, what is it called? The little cheat sheet that Becca made, and find out what the actual name of the prompt is, and also find a book for it, and then come back to talk to you. Yeah. Okay, so the prompt is in fact Shirley Jackson, and it is to read a book with a building on the cover. And I have 2 books on my physical TBR with buildings on the cover, and I am not going to read either of them. One is Babel, which I actually just bought earlier this month, but I'm saving that for a specific vlog to do in the future, probably in the new year. I don't think I'm going to fit it in before the end of this year, but that is already spoken for and can't be read for this. The other book is Inferno by Dan Brown, and I've owned this book since 2017, and I don't want to read it. I feel like we've already talked about that when I had the TBR vet prompt come up. Yeah, I don't want to read Inferno. It's as simple as that. So I went to Everand to look through my saved books, and I found The Clackety. Hold up, you're propped up against my laptop, which is where I have it pulled up. This is by Laura Senf, S-E-N-F. I've never heard of this author, but this is a spooky middle grade book. It's only 250 pages, and it has ghosts and witches and monsters, and that all sounds good. The important thing is it has a building on the cover, which I'll put it up so you can see, obviously. Yeah, spooky middle grade is always a good time. I have a great time anytime I pick up a spooky middle grade. I can't think of a single one that I don't like that I've read. So that is what I'm going with, and I'm going to get going on that, I guess, and I'll let you know how that goes. Hello, friends. It is currently about 2 p.m. on Thursday, the 24th, I think. That sounds correct. I'm definitely sure it's Thursday. I'm not 100% on the 24th, but I think so. I'm here to give you my update on the Clackety because I'm halfway through and I'm enjoying this. The first few chapters were kind of rough. I was kind of taken aback by just a lot of stuff being thrown at me, and it wasn't really like a smooth introduction to the story. I would have liked that to be worked on a little bit more, but I persevered and kept going, and now I'm really enjoying it. So we follow Evie, who um, she's been struggling. She's almost 13 years old, but not quite. And her parents died in a house fire, and I put those in quotation marks because their bodies were never found. They're kind of just gone. But she has lived with her aunt for, I think it's been about 4 years now, it said, in Blight Harbor, which is a sick town name, and I think it was like the eighth most haunted town in America per capita, is what they keep saying, something like that. And so there's ghosts and witches and a whole bunch of stuff just throughout town. Her aunt's friend Lily, who works at the library, and Evie volunteers there. She's a witch. Um, Her aunt is this like supernatural occult specialist, and so she goes to investigate this old slaughterhouse because it's always been there, but something about it is different. And this is a slaughterhouse where a man murdered a bunch of people and then he disappeared, and that was like 100 years prior to the events of the story or something like that. And so her aunt goes to investigate this building and she goes missing. So Evie, of course, is like, well, I've already lost my parents. I'm not losing her too. And she goes there, and that's where she meets the Clackety, which is this being. It's kind of hard to describe, but the Clackety is like, I will make a deal with you if you go through these 7 houses, and in doing so, you will find your aunt. You have to bring me the soul of this murderer guy who's just been wandering around. His soul is just, his ghost is all over the place. If you bring me this guy's soul, um, and you survive going through these 7 houses to find your aunt, then I will let you and your aunt back into the world of the living. So that is what she's doing. She's made it through 3 houses so far at the midpoint, and each one has been a different type of challenge, and I think that's really fun. I like this, like, I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's a specific order to things, and I really enjoy that, and I'm excited to see how the last 4 houses turn out and how the whole thing wraps up, because it's been very intriguing. So I'm going to keep going with that. I am hoping to finish it before 6 p.m. tomorrow, because that is when the Storyteller's Hearth weekend relay starts, and I will be writing all weekend focusing on that. And so I won't be reading and updating this vlog. I'll be doing a whole separate vlog for the weekend relay and my writing. So that's gonna be exciting. But I want to finish this book before then, and then I will pick a new book after I roll and find out what my prompt is. And I can't guarantee that I'll read it over the weekend, but I want to finish this up before then because I don't want it to linger. And then if I pick a new book, I will either A, not start it until after the Storyteller's Hearth, which is fine, or B, if I ever get tired of writing throughout the weekend, it will give me something to read. So that is the plan. I will get back to you once I've finished reading The Clackety. Hello friends, it is 10:13 p.m., hence the abysmal lighting, but I wanted to come on here before I went to bed to let you know that I just finished reading The Clackety. I was chilling in bed waiting for my boyfriend to come up, and he's still got a little bit of time left in the game he's playing, so I have time to update you. This book was good. I feel like the potential didn't live up to the execution in some ways. I thought the setup, like the first couple of chapters, were kind of jumbled and just threw a whole lot out there without like making it a smooth transition into the book. There were also some places where like something would be introduced and I'd be like, oh, I wish they looked at that thing from like a different angle, or they like delved into this other thing a little bit more. Um, the thing that I absolutely did not like at all was that like 3 or 4 times the narrator, which it's first person point of view from this girl Evie, she would be like, I saw this thing, and then she would like spend a paragraph describing it, and then it would go, it looked like this, and then it would show a picture. And I'm like, we know what it looked like, you just gave us a description of it. It also kind of just like took me out of the story because it's not like I can understand if it was like told in a diary format and it was like her drawing what the thing looked like, but that's not what it is. It's just like a normal formatting. It just had pictures, and like some of the pictures were just like a picture to show you the scene, but some of the ones were it literally said it looked like this several times, and I that just was so annoying. I did not like that part of it. So overall, I did have a good time. Just a couple of things kept it from being a great story for me. If you are into spooky middle grade books, this is one that I would definitely recommend checking out though. So that is that. And it means I get to pick a book. I'm very glad that I finished that book before um, my thing tomorrow. I do have a lot to get done before the event, so I might start this book beforehand. I might start it after the weekend. Who knows? Certainly not me, but I can now roll to see what my next book is going to be, so why don't I just do that and stop rambling? Okay, we have our little mushroom piece here where we landed on building on the cover. So that's where we're starting for this roll. Take my dice, do a little shaky shake, and we get a double, which means I get to pick 2 books. Yay, love that. 2 fours is an 8, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I count that correctly? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did. I get to pick 2 big books, which means 2 books over 500 pages. Okay, these might be my last reads of the month because that's 1,000+ pages. Ooh, boy. Okay, I'm gonna go look at books and try and be quick about it so that I'm not staying up super late and come back to tell you what big books I pick. Jeez. Okay, I'm back with my 2 big books. And apparently my Everand reset, so I now have access to the House of the Spirits again. It had knocked it off for me when I read, what did I read? Feel Good Productivity. When I started in DNF that, it said, oh, you've read too many titles. We have to take some of them away until you pay us more money. And so it took away the House of the Spirits, but it's back now. So I get to read that and fulfill my TBR that I made from my TBR game. So that's cool. And that is 610 pages. So that's gonna be a time. And because that one is 610 pages and is so far beyond the 500 page minimum, I am fudging it a little bit for the second book that I've picked, which is actually a physical book, which is great because I've kind of been missing physical books. So the second book for this, because I did roll doubles and have to pick 2 books, I'm going with A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth. I got this out of a little free library a few weeks ago, and it's got fairies, it's got queer kids, because this is YA, so they're all like teenagers. It's got a really cool cover. I love this art. Like, whoever did this art is very talented. Does it say it on the copyright page? Christoph Young. Well, good on you, Christoph. I am a big fan of this. So basically, there are 8 courts of the fairy folk, and they are living among humans, but like hidden by magic. And now there's a bunch of murders happening, and it takes place in Toronto. That's cool. I don't read enough books set in Canada. And these murders threaten to expose fairies to the human world. And then it says, 4 queer teens, each holding a key piece of the truth behind these murders, must form a tenuous alliance in their effort to track down the mysterious killer behind these crimes. And they basically are gonna save the world. At the top it says, choose your player, the Ironborn half-fae outcast of her royal fae family, a tempestuous fury exiled to Earth from the immortal realm and hell-bent on revenge, a dutiful fae prince determined to earn his place on the throne, and the prince's brooding guardian burdened with a terrible secret. So I don't know if this is a series or if it's a standalone. I should probably look into that. But this is technically 499 pages. But like I said, the other one is so long that I'm allowed to fudge this for that one page. So don't at me. I'm doing this. I don't know which one I'm going to start with. This one definitely sounds more interesting and more like my usual reading tastes than The House of the Spirits. So I don't know if that means I want to read it first or second, but we'll figure things out. I will probably go to bed now and decide in the morning, so I will see you whenever I see you next with an update on whichever book I pick up next, I guess. Hello, friends. First of all, I have to apologize if you can hear music playing in the background. It's somewhere in my neighborhood, but I can't tell where, and I'm just very confused. I can just barely hear it on the edge of my consciousness, so I don't think you guys can hear it, but if you can, whoops, sorry. It is about 40-ish minutes before the weekend relay starts. It is Friday, but I am here to do something that I do not want to do, and that is to DNF the House of the Spirits. I can't do it. I got 30 pages in, which 30 out of 600 pages, that's a 12th, so 8% in, and that's so small of a percentage. I usually like to give 20% to a book if I can, but it's just not happening here. This is the kind of book that I would have liked maybe 6 or 7 years ago when I was fresh in college and getting my degree in English literature and literary critique, all that fun stuff. I would have loved this book. It's good, it's just not my thing now, and it's so dense. It's a family saga, which is really fun. I do like that kind of story. But when we go 4 pages, and granted it is an ebook page, so it's a small screen, but we go 4 or 5 pages still in the same paragraph, I can't do that. I'm not for 600 pages, I can't. So unfortunately, this is my 3rd DNF of this vlog, 4th DNF of the month of October, which I think before October, I think I DNF'd 4 books total for the year, so this is a little bit crazy, but I can't. So we are chucking that one out. I'm not gonna continue reading that one, which means I do get to read A Dark and Hollow Star, which I am immensely more excited to read. I did look it up. It is, in fact, the first book in a 4-book series, as if I needed to start more series, but that's fine. I'm very excited to get into it. My statement from yesterday still stands. Once the weekend relay starts, I don't think I'm going to be getting a ton of reading done, so I probably won't see you again until, Sunday night or Monday. Oh my god, I have the hiccups. I'm so sorry. Because this goes from now until I think 6 or 6:30, whenever the closing chat ends on Sunday. So I'll get to read a little bit in the evening, and I probably will want to because I'll be all worded out in terms of writing because of how much I am, fingers crossed, gonna get done this weekend. But where am I going with this sentence? I don't even know. I'm gonna start a Dark and Hollow Star sometime this weekend and get back to you in the future. Yep, that's pretty much the crux of the matter, so I will see you then. Hi, I'm back here for just a second. I'm filling out my bullet journal for the House of the Spirits, and I wanted to correct myself. Of course, there's a plane going by now. Um, I think I said in the last clip that I got 8% of the way through, but I am stupid and did the math wrong. I only got 5% of the way through. I might have said 5, but I think I said 8. So, regardless, I got 5% of the way through, so yikes. But that's all. See you later. Hello, friends. It is 10 p.m. on Sunday night, and I should be getting ready for bed, but I've just hit pretty much the midpoint of A Dark and Hollow Star. I completely forgot the name of the book. That's embarrassing. I'm on page 240 out of 499, so it's essentially the midpoint. This is like the closest chapter break, because the next chapter is like 30 pages long, and I'm like, I'm not reading that, but I wanted to update you tonight. I am enjoying it, I think. There's just so much going on that I know I'm not retaining, but like, I don't really care that I'm not retaining it. I'm still just along for the ride. So this is a world where fairies and other fae and fair folk, whatever you want to call them, exist. And you have the 8 courts of the fae. There's the Seelie and the Unseelie, and then within that there's winter, spring, summer, and fall. There's also like a distinction between, I don't think I'm pronouncing this correctly, but it's Sidhe, which I've been calling Seath in my head, and then Lesidhe, which I've been calling Lesseath. Have I been calling it that in my head? I don't even know. Saying it out loud, it doesn't sound correct, but in my head it does. And that's like, one of them are types of fae who can use elemental magic, and the other ones use like spirit magic. I don't really understand that distinction, but it's fine. And then there's also other creatures like hair in my mouth, like trolls and things. I don't know, they've mentioned a bunch. There's this thing called a Reaper that I don't really understand, but he's around. There's also immortals. So the fae are mortal, but they just like age slowly and stuff. There's also immortals. There's 3 deities and then other immortals. So lots going on. We mostly follow Arlo, who is an Ironborn, which means she's half fae, half human, and she is the daughter of the niece of the High King of the Fae, so like the really head honcho. He's also the leader of the Unseelie Spring Court, I believe, and that is all based in Vancouver. That's where that court is. I know it's the Spring Court. It might be the Seelie Court, but I'm pretty sure it's the Unseelie Court of Spring. And so she's dealing with her whole half fae, half human issues. And she has the most POV chapters, at least at this point. We also follow Vehan, Vehan. He is the son of the Queen of the Seelie Summer Court? Maybe? I really don't know. But his mom hates the High King, so she's like plotting to challenge him so she can be the High Queen. So that's like a whole thing. And he is just like the next in line after her. We also get a couple of chapters from Aurelian, who was part of one of the Autumn Courts, but then moved into the court that Vehan is really part of, and the two of them are best friends, and they're also both secretly in love with each other, but they've had some like distancing happening for various reasons, and so we get lots of good gay pining here. I'm loving that part of it. And then the 4th main character we have is Nausicaa, who used to be Alecto, and she wasn't immortal. I think she still technically is immortal, but the whole thing happened. Her sister ended up dead, and in an act of retribution, she killed a bunch of people, and so she should have been capital D destroyed, which would have destroyed her immortality, but instead she was kind of just stripped of her title and banished to the mortal world, but I'm pretty sure she's still immortal. And so she's in Vancouver. I didn't say the two guys, their POV, they're in Nevada. That's where that court is based. But basically, a bunch of Ironborn have been murdered, and it's real suspicious. And the High King thinks that it was Nausicaa, who is the Dark Star. That's her name, her like title, I guess. He thinks it was her, but it's not. She's investigating it, and so are the other points of views in this. We do sometimes get interludes from this guy, Hero, who is, I think, the guy who's killing the Ironborn for alchemical reasons. He's also an Ironborn, but he was, like, his memory was blocked, and he was, like, shunted out of Fae society, which is something that Arlo is at threat of having happening to her. So I'm pretty sure he's the one doing all of this stuff. Alchemy is outlawed because the first Philosopher's Stone that was created started to make the Ironborn too powerful, and the Fae were like, can't have that, so they outlawed alchemy, because alchemy is a magic that only the Ironborn can do, because it's like a combination of their Fae magic and the fact that they have iron in their blood, because they're also part human. But Hero's not like acting on his own. He's acting under orders from this guy who I think is someone that Nausicaa knew in her previous time as Alecto. Like I said, there's a whole lot going on. I'm really not catching everything, but I'm still like enjoying it more than I'm not. I'm holding this upside down. I was holding it upside down the whole time and I didn't realize because the cover's not on it. So you can see my halfway bookmark. But yeah, now that I've been rambling for like 7 minutes and you know the basic plot and you know the fact that I'm enjoying it even though I don't have any idea what's going on, I guess I will go to bed and leave you here. I have blocked off tomorrow. I'm not doing any writing because I've done a ton of writing this weekend, and I will have a vlog of that for you to check out. But I'm not gonna be writing tomorrow. I'm planning to do all YouTube stuff, some bullet journal setup stuff, and a whole ton of reading. So hopefully I can read the last, what would it be, 259 pages tomorrow? I think that's doable. And then I can get another roll in because the end of the month is fast approaching. And I want to squeeze as many reads in as I can because I really like rolling the dice and going around the Spookopoly board. So that's the plan. I will see you tomorrow no matter what happens. Hello friends. It is Monday afternoon, evening. It's 5:30. I don't quite know if that makes it evening yet. Anyway, I'm here to tell you that I finished A Dark and Hollow Star. And I don't know what to tell you about this book. It was fine. The first like 300 or so pages, I was like, oh, I don't quite follow what's going on here, but I like follow enough that I'm intrigued and want to keep going. I really liked the like world building, the different courts of the Fae, and like the immortals and all that. I thought that was super interesting, and there was like this murder mystery plot that I was curious about. But then I would say about page 350 to 400 is when things started happening where I was like, ooh, I don't know if I enjoy that. For example, Arlo, one of our main characters, she's given a d20, a 20-sided die, by this mysterious man, and she's like, I don't know what to do with this. And then she's like just hanging out with her little cousin, her little 11-year-old cousin, and he's like, oh, maybe it's like D&D, this thing that I think is really cool, where you like make a skill check and you try and roll higher than a number that's given to you to see if you succeed. And that's like exactly how it works. So Arlo has magic, but it's like locked away or something. I really didn't understand that. But she can use magic through this D20 where she can literally pause time, be like, this is the thing that I want to do, and a magic number glows above her head and she has to roll above that number to actually do the thing. And like that would be a cool concept in a book that wasn't this one. Like if it was a D&D themed like vibe for a fantasy book like that, I would have been down for it. But this is not that book. It was just so random and unexpected and I really didn't like it, especially because she never once fails. Like she always rolls the number that she needs to get things done. Even at one point, she had 3 things she was trying to do at once, and she had to roll like a 10, a 13, and an 18 to do it, and she rolls enough to get all 3 things done. And I'm like, that's so unbelievable. We also just have the 7 deadly sins thrown in there randomly, and they're like, oh yeah, this is a thing that's been around the whole time, but like, when was that mentioned? So the last like 100 pages, I genuinely could not tell you what happened. Like the whole big boss fight, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. We also don't see the romance that I like, the like mutual pining and everything. We get like snippets of it here and there, but I really would have loved to see more of those 2 characters, Aurelian and Vian. I love those characters, but we barely see them, and so we get Arlo for like 50% of the POVs, and then also a lot of Nausicaa. And like, don't get me wrong, they're cool and all. I just didn't really like them as much as these other characters. And then also, they've known each other 2 weeks, and suddenly they're in love. I guess. Sure. So yeah, this was kind of a dud for me, which is sad. I was really looking forward to it. On the cover, by the way, this is Nausicaa. So that is all done, and this is going to go into the little free library that I got it out from. Is going back into that. I really hope my next roll gets me a good book, because I've had so many that I just have not liked. And I did finish this. I did read the whole thing. It wasn't bad. I just there were too many things going on that I just didn't understand or didn't like the direction of. So I'm like, if I find it for free and I have like a very specific reason to read it, I would pick up the sequel. Like if there's like a readathon prompt and that's the only book I can find that fits it, I would pick it up because I'm interested enough in most of the characters and like the politics of the world that I'm kind of curious as to what's gonna happen. But I wouldn't go out of my way in any other situation to read the sequel. So yeah, I'm just gonna get my board and my dice and everything, and I'm gonna roll, and hopefully we get something good. It's the 28th, so we're getting real close to the end of this readathon, and I really can't remember what I've read for Spookopoly, but I know I've had a lot of DNFs, and I don't think I've had anything that's really wowed me, you know? So we're hoping for a good book for the next whatever prompt I roll. Okay, friends, here we are with our little mushroom on the big book space of the Spookopoly board. I'm just gonna roll the dice, not even waste any time. We're just gonna figure out what I read next. That is a 4 and a 6, so 10 spots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ooh, okay, so the question mark is chance, which are these 4 books down here, and I'm going to have to get a D4 out because I don't have one out right now, and I'm going to roll it, and whatever number I get, that's the book that I read. So 1 and 3 are books I have not read before, and 2 and 4 would be rereads for me, but they are all books that I think fit this time of year. So let me go grab that D4 and we'll get to rolling again. Okay, I'm back, and I've got this D4. It's the same pinky orange set that this D6 is part of. So I'm going to give it a shake, and I got a 1. So I get to read What Waits in the Water. So I will go grab it and show you what that is. Okay, so here I have What Waits in the Water by Kieran Scott, who, fun fact, is an author that I've actually met twice because she's from North Jersey and so am I. And 2 times in high school, she went on book tour and I met her at my local library. So I do have several books of hers that are signed, but this one, I think I thrifted this a few weeks ago. I'm not entirely sure, I don't remember, but this is a spooky mid-grade YA. All the other books I've read by her have been like squarely YA, but this feels like a little bit younger, so maybe like upper middle grade, lower YA, whatever. But the tagline at the top here says, "When she looked out at the lake again, the thing was gone. All that was left of it was a series of tiny ripples in the water." The main character Hannah is going to spend the weekend with her best friend Jacob at his family's lake house. Her new stepsister Katie is coming along. This is weird. Katie's my sister's name and Jacob is my boyfriend's name. So 2 people that I know, like, names in common in this book. Then creepy things start happening. A local girl gets sucked under the water right in front of Hannah's eyes. Did she drown or was she murdered? Murdered is italicized for emphasis. So that is interesting. Apparently there's also a book called What Waits in the Woods, but I do remember looking it up and the two are not related. They just have similar titles. But yeah, that is that. They have very similar covers too. I'm looking at the little preview here. Anyway, take a dip if you dare. This is like 250 pages, and I think that means it's going to be a quick read, so that's really what I need right now, is a nice, easy read, something fast-paced to keep me from going into a slump from all of the whatever I've been reading. This really feels like such a strange Spookopoly round, because I feel like last year, I don't remember what I read for it, but I feel like I was enjoying myself a lot more, and here I'm just having a bunch of DNFs and books I don't care about. So here's hoping that changes with this. So I'm going to get going and I will update you at some point with my thoughts. Good morning, friends. It is 10 a.m., almost on the dot, on Tuesday, and I'm here to tell you that I finished What Waits in the Water. This was really good. I read 151 pages last night before bed because I was just flying through it, and then it took me about an hour, I'd say, to finish up the last 100 pages this morning. I wanted to get that done nice and early so I could update you, and I really genuinely enjoyed this. I don't think I have any complaints. I did say this was middle grade, but it is more like upper middle grade, lower YA. The main characters are, I think, 16, because the main character Hannah just got her permit to drive. So that's my estimate, but it does read a little bit younger than YA, so very quick, very fast-paced in terms of like the actual pacing of the story, but also quick because it's short. The last 50 or so pages, I was like genuinely glued to the book because of all of the twists and turns. Normally I don't like an ending to be too twisty-turny, but this one I think was done very well, and I'm glad that I've got another Kieran Scott done and enjoyed. I do think she's a very good writer, and I would love to read more of her works, both as Kieran Scott, and she also has published works under the name Kate Bryan. So that was this, and that means I get to do another roll. We are really cutting it close. I think this might be my last roll, considering it is the 29th, and I'm only playing this game until the 30th. So let's roll and see what I end up getting. Alright, friends, I genuinely can't remember how many rolls we've done so far, but we are here on the chance space, so we're gonna take the dice, give them a nice shake, and I would land on a double, or roll a double, I guess, on my last roll. So, great. Okay, I have to pick 2 books, and these are definitely going to be the last 2 books because there's only 2 days left in the month, so I'm going to try and pick short ones, I guess, but 1, 2, 3, 4. We land on Features Family. This I didn't draw because I can't draw very well, but this was the Leatherface spot If I had done double threes, I could have landed on the 13 letters in the title, which is Jason Voorhees, because it's Friday the 13th, and it's also the 13th spot on the board, which I thought was very clever. But I purposefully counted book titles before I started this to find out if I had anything with 13 letters in the title, and I had several that were very interesting. But that's not what I landed on. I have to now pick 2 books that feature family as a main theme or component to the story, so I guess I'll go look through my books and pull 2 of them and be back to tell you about them. Okay, I'm back and I have picked my 2 books that feature family as a main part of the story, and one is a little bit more tenuous of a connection than the other, so we'll talk about that one first, and that is Barbarian Mind by Ruby Dixon. This is book 4 in the Ice Planet Barbarians, and I just have really wanted to read this because I've been enjoying this series. I've read 3 so far, hence I'm up to the 4th one. And the reason I'm saying this involves family is because, long story short, these human women end up on this planet with these barbarians. That's what they're being called. And all of them, the humans and these aliens, have these like little parasite type things living inside them that adapts their body to live on this uninhabitable ice planet, like otherwise uninhabitable. And those little dudes living inside them do this thing called resonating, which basically just is a lot of vibrating, and it's kind of weird, but they do this when 2 people who have these parasites come together and have a good genetic composition to make babies. I guess that's a way to explain it. So it's essentially like a mating thing, and making babies, that's a family thing. That's why I'm saying it works for this prompt. The other book that I have picked is definitely much more fitting. So that is Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. I've seen this going around for a little while now. I think it's a 2024 release, or at least it's a very recent release. And I've just seen a bunch of people reading it and it got me curious. And this book is about 3 siblings whose mother has recently passed, so they all show up to kind of like take care of the things that you take care of after a loved one passes. And they're watching all of these old home tapes, and they find one that shows their father next to a dead body, and he's covered in blood, and they're like, that's weird. So now they have to kind of just piece things together and figure out what happened. So those are the 2 books I'm going to go for. I'm going to probably read Barbarian Mind first because A, it's quite short, it's only 100-something pages. B, I'm really, really thinking of it. Like, I genuinely tried to fit it in for so many prompts so far. Like, that was one of the books that I had on my mind when I started this game. Like, I really hope I can fit it in. And C, I want to get the fun one done and end on a spooky one because it just feels fitting for Spookopoly. So those are my plans. I might be able to knock out all of Barbarian Mind today because, like I said, it's only 100-something pages and I absolutely fly through it. So I'm not going to get to reading right now. I have a ton of other stuff I have to get done today, but definitely later tonight. And if I don't finish it tonight, then definitely tomorrow morning. So I'll see you at some point to talk about Barbarian Mind. Hello friends, it is 1:45 in the afternoon on Wednesday the 30th, and I have just finished reading Barbarian Mind. It was really good. I enjoyed this one a lot. Not as much as the second Ice Planet Barbarians book. That one is still my favorite, but this one had a lot of sibling dynamic exploration, I guess you could call it, and that's one of my favorite things to have in books. And I also liked the dynamic between Harlow and Rook. I thought that was very fun. So it's not ranked as highly as book 2 in my mind, but I would rank it above 1 and 3. So not that that's important, but that's my thoughts on the book. It was a really fun time. It's Ice Planet Barbarians. Do you want more than just a fun time? Not really. Anyway, I have some stuff that I have to get done this afternoon. I haven't done my writing yet today, and I have to get about 700 words according to Pacemaker. That's my goal for the day, which shouldn't take me long at all. I also have the Nostalgia Train book club live show for Vampire Academy in just over an hour. That's with Violet and Sam, and I don't know if anyone else is going to be on it with us, but that's going to be a good time chatting about this book. So I have to look over my reading journal notes for Vampire Academy so I can remember what I thought about it when I had freshly finished it. But besides that, I don't have a ton going on, so I will get to Home is Where the Bodies Are this afternoon/evening, and hopefully it's a quick read. It's not super long, but I'm panicking a little bit. We are getting down to the wire. We've got, 35 hours until the end of October 31st when this ends? I think I did that math correctly. If I didn't, I don't care. So that's what's going on here. I will leave you now and get going on all my stuff and come back with an update on Home is Where the Bodies Are. I probably will update you in the middle. I didn't do that for Barbarian Mind because it's just a really short, fun book that I'm like, I'll just give you my thoughts at the end. But this one I'm feeling like is probably going to be a little more involved, so I think I'm going to give you a midpoint update, or whenever things happen that have me going, I need to talk about this, so we'll just have to wait and see. I interrupt this vlog to bring you the sweetest little baby in existence. Oh my god, I love her so much. Okay, I'm gonna get back to reading now so I don't disturb her little nap. Hello, friends. It is just after 10 o'clock. It's like 10:04 or something. And I've just finished reading Home is Where the Bodies Are. It is still the 30th. I started reading it about 4 hours ago, I would say, and I read the whole thing. Not in one sitting. I did take some breaks here and there to like feed the cats, get a snack for myself, that sort of thing. But for the most part, I was just reading this evening. And this book, I would say, was disappointing. Not because it's bad or anything. Like, I can definitely see why some people absolutely love it and enjoy it. But just for me, I found it to be very bland, and I had such high expectations for it. So maybe that's on me. Maybe I wouldn't be so disappointed if I didn't think I would love it, but yeah, unfortunately, it just was not it. I appreciate the writing style. It was very well paced and easy to read. The chapters were also short, and that was nice. But the plot itself was just kind of nothing. I was able to guess the twist, the reveal of who really did the stuff that happened so early on, and not because of following breadcrumbs or foreshadowing or anything, but because I was like, if this was like a book I was writing, this would be the thing I would use for the red herring, and then everything just kept pointing towards that being the actual case. And I'm like, okay. So it was just kind of not for me, but I'm actually, I think I'm gonna move to the office to close this out because the cats are trying to sleep in here and I don't want to disturb them. And even though I kind of just did disturb them talking about this book, but I'm gonna go back to the office and close this vlog out because I'm not rolling anymore. Tomorrow's Halloween and it's the last day of the month. I don't want to try and rush myself to read another whole book in a day, so we're just gonna call it here. Okay, friends, I'm back and I have my reading journal here so I can go over all the books that I read for Spookopoly, or in quite a few cases, didn't read because I DNF'd them. Let's just talk about these books. First up, I had Lysistrata, a play by Aristophanes, and this was fine. It was a good time. It was exactly what I expected, so I didn't really have much else to say. And then I had A Tale of Time City by Diana Wynne Jones, which was my first DNF of Spookopoly, because I just was not feeling it. It was doing nothing for me. I'm not really a time travel kind of sci-fi fan, and I just wanted to give it a shot because it's Diana Wynne Jones, and I enjoyed Howl's Moving Castle, but that was not enough for me to keep going with it. So I DNF'd it 22% in. Did I skip a page? No, that's good. Then I read, or I tried to read, Feel Good Productivity by Ali Abdaal, and I DNF'd that one about 41% in, and that's because it was making me very angry, because it was just a lot of, like, nothing advice. I say here, such helpful stuff like, do things you enjoy, and be nice to people so they're nice to you. It was nothing that you needed a self-help book about, and I was just like, I'm not going to continue on with this, so I didn't. Then I picked up Vampire Academy, and I actually had a really good time, and the book club chat with Violet and Sam today went very well. I had a great time talking about Vampire Academy, so that was definitely a highlight of Spookopoly for me. Then I had The Clackety, which was a perfectly adequate spooky middle grade, according to the opening line of my entry for this book. I did really enjoy that. There are 2 other books in the series, and I might pick them up. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not gonna, like, purposefully DNF the series, but I'm not gonna, like, go out of my way to read the other books, if that makes sense. Probably, which I say this for a lot of books, if they fit readathon prompts, because I do a ton of readathons, a ton of reading challenges, and if they fit prompts, I'm gonna pick them up because I enjoyed the first one enough. Then we had The House of the Spirits, which I DNF'd only 5% in, because I quickly realized it was not a book for me, and I was not about to read 610 pages of a book that I knew was not for me, which, this is gonna sound so weird, so I was reading it as an ebook, and literally yesterday I went on a little walk with my boyfriend, and we were gonna go get coffee, and on the way there we passed a little free library, and in the little free library was The House of the Spirits. It was so bizarre. I looked at it, I'm like, that's so weird, because I literally did not know that book existed until I was doing my TBR for October, and I needed a book by a South American author, and I just Googled it, and it came up. So that was a little bit weird seeing that in there, but yeah, that was a DNF. Then I read A Dark and Hollow Star by Ashley Shuttleworth, which I kind of wish I DNF'd because I was just so confused going through, and I wasn't having a great time, but I was intrigued, and then the last chunk of it was so disappointing, and I just found myself not having fun. So, yeah, probably could have DNF'd that and been fine, but also I finished it, so there's something to say for that. Then we had What Waits in the Water, which I do think was the other highlight of the event of Spookopoly for me. So Vampire Academy, The Clackety, and What Waits in the Water, because this was just so delightful, and it just further proves that I'm a fan of Kieran Scott, because now that's another book that I've read by her that I really enjoyed, so that's good. I'm glad I did. And then we had Barbarian Mind, which I would also consider a highlight of the event, because I just really like the Ice Planet Barbarian series, but then, like, because I just know I really like the series, I don't want to consider it a highlight, because, like, yeah, I knew I was going to enjoy it, so I don't know, but it is still another, like, tick in the positive for the books that I read. And then finally, we have Home is Where the Bodies Are, which, as you know, I just finished and was not a huge fan of. So we had quite a few DNFs, quite a few books that I was very meh about, but then we also had quite a few that I really enjoyed. So it was truly a mixed bag in the truest definition of the term. So that has been Spookopoly 2024. It has been a time, and I have absolutely no idea how long this vlog is going to be. I got through a lot more books than I expected, probably because I DNF'd so many, but I don't know how much footage I've collected. That's for me to find out when I go to edit this vlog, so hopefully it doesn't take me a million years to get to it, but that is all for me now. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a big thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel for more content, and that way I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.